Hello and welcome to the January 2018 video log from me, Paul Grogan at Gaming Rules. Now, this is being recorded at the start of February, so this is the video log for the whole of January 2018 with all of the things that I've been up to. Now, the first thing I wanted to say is an update on the Patreon. January was an amazing month for my Patreon campaign. I don't know if that was in part due to my video log for December, which went out at the start of January, but I also got approval to do a little bit of a push on one of the UK Facebook groups that I'm on. Probably the only UK Facebook group for board games, which is the Board Game Trading and Chat UK Facebook group. And a number of people, because I'm actively on that group, and a number of people on there supported me as well. So yes, was a very good month. Now, as always, I will say a big thank you to everybody who started supporting me in January. Patreon takes its money on the 1st of the month, so on the 1st of February, everybody who started supporting me in January effectively got charged. And we've had 4 new executive producers on the show. Martin Anderton, who is an admin on the aforementioned Facebook group, so thank you very much, Martin. Lorraine Compton, thank you very much. John Medany, who I got to meet at HandyCon, more on that later on. HandyCon, not my meeting with John. So yeah, thank you, John. And Paul Naylor, otherwise known as Mr. Juggles. I've known Paul for probably 2 or 3 years now. We've engaged on the UK Facebook group, and Paul's just great, what he does. A number of people who also backed me at producer level. There's quite a lot here. So Christina Crouch, thank you very much, Christina. I know we've engaged a number of times on Board Game Geek before all of this Facebook stuff started. Jenny Butler, thank you very much, Jenny. Claire Tomlinson, Joel Peterson, Matt Charlton, David Ellis, Jeff Ruddle, Dennis Leung, Richard Neat, Matthew Teitelbaum, I think that's how you pronounce it, sorry if it's wrong, Matthew, Nicholas Askern, Kent from Icarus Must Burn. Icarus Must Burn is just a cool name. I'm sure there's a reason behind that name, so let me know if there is. Toby Liggins, thank you very much, Toby. I got to meet you at HandyCon as well. Great Michael Jackson impression, by the way. Kelly Eckley, Maria Vilensky, Oliver Hoffman, Jason Dinger, Annette Villa, good to have you on, Annette, Joshua Baldwin, thank you very much, Josh, and Jay Anderson. So they're all the people who backed me at producer level. Producer level gets obviously the name in the credits on the at the end of every video, but also gets you to vote on which games that I'm going to be reviewing in 2018. And I've just, literally a few minutes before I started recording this, I've just posted my poll for which game I should vote which game I should review in 2018. So if you are a producer level or higher, then pop onto Patreon. You should have got an email with the post, and you get to choose one of the games that I'll review. Other people that have supported me at other levels, George Foe, thank you very much. Francesco Bachelli, Thomas Covert, who runs the Board Game Revolution Facebook group, which I'm also a member of. Semi-Co-op, that do webcomics, check it out, very funny. Maria Ella Ampagnan, not sure if I've pronounced that correctly or not. Ross from More Games Please, thank you very much, Ross. Sarah Jane Bonney, Asef Alani, Paul Price, Norman Fries, Mom Gamer, not sure of the real name there, but down as Mom Gamer. Tom Shriver and Mike Risley. Thank you very much to everybody who supported me. Now, speaking of the Patreon campaign, I looked at this list and I was like, wow, this is a huge number of extra people that are supporting me in January, and it is. And I am, you know, thankful for every single person who has supported me. I know that's the normal thing to say, but you know, since I launched the Patreon, it was, you know, an initial good response, and then it was a bit of a slow burn. So this has been a very good month. Now, I don't know if I've said this before, but I completely undercosted and undervalued myself on the Patreon when I launched it. I wanted to launch it and I wanted it to be successful, but I set the goals relatively low. And it was definitely too low. So I've worked out with all of the stuff that I do, the non-paid for stuff that I do, so with the podcasts, the reviews, this monthly video log, the Q&A, and all of the other stuff I do, it's working out to be about 35 to 40 hours a month spent just on creating that content. And that is something that I do want to do. I really do enjoy doing this. And the fact that I'm doing it for people who've supported me is great. However, whilst it looks like the Patreon's doing really well and it's now raising, I think about $450 a month, that is nowhere near covering my time. So I'm actually in a position where I'm losing money because of it, but at the moment, that's okay. I'm preferring, because what I could be doing instead of doing all of that is I could be doing more work, more video creation, more rulebook editing and all of that, and that would pay more. But I don't want to be doing that. Right now, with all of this Patreon content that I am creating, it is what I want to do. I'm not saying I'm going to give up the other work completely, because $450 a month is not going to pay my way. But as I say, I have undercosted it. I've worked it out that it probably needs to be around the $800 a month mark, maybe a bit more. Between $800 and $1,000 a month is what it needs to be really to cover my time. But I set the goals low and I've already met the goals, and I don't now want to start adding more goals for things that are going to take even more time. So anyway, thank you very much to all my Patreon supporters. I am still going to try and promote it, and if you know anybody else that might want to contribute, or if you're watching this video and you want to contribute, I want all of my content to be freely available. So all of my Patreon supporters are effectively, they are the ones providing me the money that means I can take this morning off work when I should be doing a rule book in order to produce this content. But many people are watching this who are watching it for free, who haven't contributed to it. So if you do enjoy my content, then please consider going onto my Patreon and supporting me. So there we go. That's a little bit about the Patreon. And the next thing to do while we're talking about Patreon is the monthly contest. So this month I am giving a copy of Keeper away. You get a lot. This isn't the character edition. This is the normal edition of the game, but there's a huge amount of stuff in the box. If you're interested in learning how to play, some guy did a rules video on it. Check that out. So let's go over to the computer and do the draw. Now, I've learned how to use screen capturing. So instead of me setting the video camera up and videoing the laptop, which always felt a bit strange, I've actually got some screen capture software. So let's go up to the computer and do the draw. Okay, so here is the spreadsheet that I use. So as you can see, all of the executive producers are at the top. So there's 14 of them. If you're an executive producer, you get 3 tickets entered into the draw, which is why that block of names is there, and it's also there, and then it's also below that. So you get 3 entries into the contest. Below that are all of the other producers. Right, so let's go to the formula. So here's the formula. So a random number between 1 and 94. And right, okay, 72. So let's have a look down the list, and it's Andy Grant. So this is not a fix. I do know Andy. I saw him at HandyCon, and I will be seeing him at the City of Games, which certainly makes postage easier. So yes, so congratulations, Andy. I will be bringing a copy of this game. I'll bring it with me at the weekend and can give you it then. And if you want me to teach you how to play, I'd be more than happy to play it and teach you at the same time. So there we go. That's this monthly contest done. And the next monthly contest will be a copy of Gloom of Kilforth. Tristan Hall, who designed Gloom of Kilforth from Hall or Nothing Productions, has kindly given me a copy of the game to give away to one lucky backer. So the contest that I will be doing in the next monthly video log, which will be the video log for February, which will be recorded at the start of March, somebody will win it. Will win a copy of Gloom of Kilforth. So if you back me at any point before the 1st of March, then you will be in with a chance of winning a copy of that game. So thank you very much to Tristan for donating a copy of Gloom of Kilforth. Now, what have I done in January? Let's have a look. I went to HandyCon. Now, HandyCon was near the end of January. It was like the 3rd week in January, but I am going to talk about it here. HandyCon is a convention in the UK. It happens twice a year. It's in High Wycombe. It's run by a friend of mine, Paul Harris, who many of you probably know. And it was a working convention for me. In fact, I now don't go to any conventions which are not work related. Well, apart from the ones I host myself here at my house, but they kind of don't count. So it was a working convention. I demoed lots and lots of games to people. I didn't get to play that much myself. But that's okay because I enjoy doing demos. So I demoed lots of games of Pulsar 2849 from CGE. I demoed lots of games of Founders of Gloom Haven. Both of those went down really well. I also did some demos of Welcome to Centerville that I got sent a review copy of. So I wasn't paid to do any demos there. I just got sent a review copy of the game and I wanted to show it to a few people. Same with Dragon Castle. Dragon Castle I took along to HandyCon and I probably taught it to about, I don't know, 3 or 4 groups of people. Again, I was just given a review copy of the game. They weren't paying me to do any demos of it, but I wanted to take it along and show people. And Dragon Castle is actually a game that I played myself at that weekend. Normally when I'm doing demos, I don't play at the same time. I want to concentrate on doing the demo itself, but Dragon Castle was such a fairly simple game that I did play in that. I was also demoing a new prototype game from CGE, which at the moment is called Sherlocked, but that is a placeholder name. It's going to change. It's a cooperative word association game that's completely different from Codenames, just in case you think, oh, it's another Codenames game. It's not, but I did a number of demos of that as well. And also a couple of demos of Agent Decker, which is a game that I'm working on a rulebook for Board and Dice. And I used it as an opportunity to teach some people how to play, which enables me to write a clearer rulebook, because it's only when you really play a game do situations arise and you go, what if this? So I had many questions after that, after those demos, which I then went back, found the answers and put those into the rulebook. So yeah, so HandyCon, as I say, I didn't play many games myself, but it was a really good time. What I did play is I did play a very quick game of UGTech. Now, this is the game where you have inflatable clubs and you bash each other over their head. One of the evenings, they dedicated one of the larger rooms to basically fun, silly games, which were, you know, you just play a bit and then move on to the next one. So I played like Pog, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a silly game. And me and Matt Evans from Creaking Shelves, we did 1 round of UGTech. Well, 2 rounds actually. He was hitting me on the head while describing, and then I did the same for him. There were other people there doing it at the same time, and I think you're supposed to say, you know, whoever does it first wins, but we just did it, and that was quite good fun. So that was HandyCon. What else have I got? Games that I've played. Right. Merlin, I've played twice. I might be doing a review of that this month, so watch this space. But yeah, I've played that twice. I quite like it. Would happily play that again. Dragon Castle I've played 5 times with various groups. First couple of games I got a slight rule wrong, but it's really, really good game. Really like that. Might do a review of that at some point, actually. Should have put that on the list. I played Deadline, which Ben Osteen lent me. Deadline is a cross between The Grizzled and Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. So the game comes with, I think, 12 cases. And once you've played a case once, you can't really play it again, because at the end of the case, you get asked a load of questions. And then you have to try and answer that. It's a fully cooperative game. But then you have to try and answer the questions. It's just gone dark outside, which is why the lighting's changed. And then you get the answers, and then you score points depending on how many of those answers you got correctly. So again, that's why you can't play it again once you've played it once. And what you do, you go from one location to the next, just like in Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. But in Sherlock Holmes, you literally just say, I'm going to go to that location, and you read the bit of text. In this game, in Deadline, you have to play this little mini game, which is a little bit like The Grizzled, in that you're all playing cards around the table. You're not really allowed, that communication is limited. And then if you manage to succeed at the particular card laying part of the game, then you get to read the clues on that location. So the more locations, the more locations you visit and the more locations you get the text from, the better chance you have of getting the answers correct at the end. Now, if you fail that particular mission, you lose a bullet. And if you fail 3 times, then bang, scenario is over, and you then have to go to the questions. So we played scenario 1, which apparently is quite easy, and we succeeded. And we saw every single location in the game. So when we got the questions, and Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective is a real brain burner and requires lots of thinking and lots of deduction. This was fairly simple. The questions were generally, oh, who was in the bar at 9 o'clock or whatever. And if you've been to a couple of locations, you have that information. There's no working out to do really. You kind of have that information there. So don't worry about it being, you know, going to melt your brains. And because in the first case, it was relatively easy, we'd been to every location, which means we got every single question right. Now, if you fail at the card laying part of the game, 3 times and you lose all your bullets, then you have to then go to the end and you get the questions, and there will be some locations you haven't been to. So I quite liked it. The experience of playing was good. I would play again. Derek, a friend of mine, has said Case 2 has some controversial parts to it. I don't know. I might get a chance to play Case 2 before I give it back to Ben, because it isn't my copy of the game, but I'm looking into getting a copy of it. It was quite good. So that's Deadline. Gloom Haven update. We played Scenario 51. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but 51 is quite a major scenario. In order to do Scenario 51, you have to have completed 3 things, and I can't say what those 3 things are, but each one of those things is a 2 or 3-parter scenario. So we did all of that in order to lead up to Scenario 51. Can't remember how many scenarios we have now done in total. I think it's about 29. So we did it, and we succeeded, and it was actually relatively easy. It was another one where we set it up and we put the stuff on the table and we looked at it and we were like, oh my God, this is going to be a nightmare. This is going to be really difficult. And then as we started doing it, it was actually relatively easy. It was one of the easier scenarios we'd done. I mean, we do have some very good characters that are very powerful. Obviously, the game scales depending on your level, but we had a load of other stuff as well that made it okay. So we enjoyed that. Our town is now prosperity level 6. The characters are generally around level 6 or 7. Vicky Spellweaver is level 9. She's going to put that to one side and start playing other characters for now, which I can't talk about. So anyway, that's a bit of a Gloom Haven update. Unlock. So over Christmas, I'd played of the new Unlock, which I think are mystery adventures. We'd played the first 2 with my parents, and the island one, Treasure Island one, we hadn't played that. So because Gloom Haven finished early, we played that scenario with Mark and Sally, who are in our Gloom Haven group, and it's really good. So yeah, that's the island one from the second box set of Unlocked, or if you're in America, they don't release them in a box set, they release them in individual ones. So it's the island, Tonopah's Island or something like that. Really good, really enjoyed it, a lot of clever bits in it, so yeah, that's good. And Welcome to Centerfield that I mentioned early on. I have actually played that game twice now. There's parts of the game that I really like, and there's parts of the game that I think are flawed. The bits that I think are flawed is it's a bit sort of old school game design. When it's your turn, you do everything on your turn, which involves using the Yahtzee mechanic for rolling dice. So you roll the dice and then you might choose which ones to keep, and then you put some aside and then you re-roll what's left, and that opens up a whole new other set of options that you need to reconsider. And then you roll again, and then your dice are set, and then you take actions with your dice. That process on its own doesn't take that long, but as I say, every time you roll the dice, it opens up extra options, and you might need to rethink what you were planning to do, and you might want to be doing something different. And then once you've got the dice, you kind of just go, right, I'm going to spend those 3 trees on doing that. Once the dice are rolled, carrying out the actions is relatively easy. But there's no player interaction at all when it's your turn. And because you don't roll the dice until the start of your turn, there's nothing you can do. So you will only be playing for however long the game takes. And our first 4-player game was about 2 hours, although I think it would be an hour and a half, maybe a little bit less, which is not bad. But you are only doing stuff for 25% of that time. The other 75% of the game, you're not doing anything. You can't plan ahead. You can't do anything. So there is a lot of downtime in the game. I then tried it again 2-player. Because there's an area control aspect to the game, 2-player doesn't work, which is why in the game it has, if you're playing 2-player, you need to use a dummy player. So I thought, oh, okay, we'll do that. And the dummy player rules are actually quite clever. It says, you know, you roll the dice and then you do this if this, and this if this if this. They're really well thought out. But the extra admin of doing that dummy player, I think 3-player is the sweet spot. 4-player, the downtime is a bit too much. 2-player, you have to use the dummy player. 3-player, I think, is the sweet spot for the game. So anyway, that's a quick welcome to Centerville, and I might be doing a review of that more later on. I also played Gents, which is now gone. It was to film the video. It was Tom Heath's copy. Thank you again, Tom, for lending me that copy of the game. Tom has since sold it on. Paul Bryant from Games Law now has it. So I don't have the game anymore. I'm really looking forward to when Tasty Minstrel get round to producing it, because it was one of the best games I've played recently. I did really, really enjoy the game. The theme's quite light on it, but you know, whatever. It's really good. Flam Rouge, played that again. I think I've said before, I love Flam Rouge. So we played it again, and I loved it again. We played with some hills and everything else, and it was just really good. Just really like that game. It's another one I might be doing a review of at some point. Right, so that's the games that I've been playing in January 2018 and what I thought of them. Other things that have been happening, I got a gift. I got some dice. I got some pink dice, which are engraved. Now, these are from Dara. Well, they're actually from Jeffrey, but we'll say they're from Dara. Dara teaches how to play. So if you go on YouTube and have a look for Dara how to play, they're great how to play videos. Dara is very young. So if you don't mind watching Dara teach you how to play a game, then it's just really, really nice content. Anyway, had some pink dice made. Jeffrey sent me them, or Dara sent me them. Thank you very much for those. I also got some more cashew nuts from Leanne. Thank you very much for my cashew nuts. And Andy got me some at HandyCon, which was nice. One morning I got up and went to the demo area where I was running demos, and there was a big pile of roasted salt and something pepper cashew nuts, and I was like, okay. And then Andy said, oh yeah, they're for me. So thank you very much. That kept me going, certainly, for that day. What else have we got to talk about? Videos that got released in January. So Gentis or Gentis or Hentis or whatever. The Kickstarter for that is now live. And I got my video done before the Kickstarter went live, and the Kickstarter is doing really well. But yeah, that video went live this month. So that's there. And if you're interested in watching my video for Gentis, Hentis, Gentis, whatever, then go on. A number of other people have done playthrough videos. A number of other videos contain errors in it. So, you know, my videos, I always strive for accuracy. I don't just read the rulebook, but I play the game, I read BGG, I check the forums, I try to make sure I'm playing the game correctly. I then get the script checked by the designer and or the publisher. So my videos tend to be, well, I try and make them as accurate as I can. That takes a lot of time and effort, and I don't expect everybody else to go to that time and effort, which is why a lot of other how to play or videos or a lot of other playthrough videos contain errors. And as long as you turn on either the Klingon subtitles or if they've hard-coded the subtitles in there, then absolutely fine. The reason I'm saying this is I got a message yesterday on my Gentis video on Board Game Geek to say, hi Paul, I've just watched this video. I've also watched the playthrough from John Gets Games, and you know, there's a particular part of the game that John said you play it like this, and I just want to check that your video is correct, because John did it differently. And I was like, yeah. Now, I quite like people keeping me on my toes, because one of these days, like with the Pulsar video, I'm going to make a mistake. And with the Gentis video, the designer didn't approve the script. The original publisher, Spielworks, read through it, approved it, then watched the video and approved the video. And then Tasty Minstrel checked the script, I think, but they checked the video as well. So as far as I was concerned, I'd covered myself. All of the people that needed to tell me it was correct told me it was correct, which means I was confident that it was fairly accurate. But I do, if anybody does sees anything in any of my videos that they think is wrong, please point them out. Don't go, oh well, it's Paul and he said he's 100% accurate all the time, so it must be accurate. No, if literally I say something that's the opposite of what it says in the rulebook, then pull me up on it and point it out. So I went back to them and tried to politely say yes, and I was confident on this one because I'd already watched John's video and I'd already pointed out to him the mistake that he made, and he said, oh yeah, that was a mistake that I made. So anyway, Gentis rules video is online. What else? Reviews. I did 2 reviews in January. I did Newsfjord, Uwe Rosenberg, Mayfair Games. I did that. Go and watch that if you're interested in finding out what I thought about that. It's got lots of fish in it. And Tavern, which I was really nervous about because, to be honest, Tavern, my review of that is the least positive review of a game I've done. Since all of the reviews that I've done, even back 1.5, 2 years ago when I did a few reviews then, and all of my most recent reviews that I've been doing in the last few months, they've all been positive because they're games that I really like playing. And Tavern wasn't entirely positive. It's a game that I'm not likely to play again. However, saying that, the review came off fairly positive because I did highlight all the good things in the game and bits that I liked about it. It just wasn't good enough for me, really. And, you know, with that many games in your collection, why would I play a game that I rate a 6 out of 10 when I've got 200 games upstairs that I rate an 8 out of 10? It's just, you know, how you choose to spend your time. Also, my monthly Q&A went live. So that went live about the middle of the month, I think. I mean, I say went live, it went out live, but you can go and watch that. So if you want to see me on camera with no editing and no script and everything else, I mean, even this has got a script, but I will be editing out any errors. But if you want to see me sort of raw and answering questions about all sorts of things, and some people caught me out and asked me questions that I wasn't prepared for, but that's the idea of a live show, and I answered them as honestly as I could. I've also bought a webcam, so the next monthly Q&A, which will be happening in a couple of weeks' time, should be much better quality, although my broadband is still a bit flaky. So that's videos. Now, some of you who watched the video log from December, which went out in January, is probably thinking, where's the Knights of Fire video? And I'm thinking the same. Knights of Fire video was done and dusted, and I'm waiting on the Kickstarter campaign going for Mighty Boards to tell me, right, Paul, you can make the video live. So the video's done and dusted. It's just not gone live yet. So expect that soon. Speaking of other things that are happening in February, next weekend, City of Games convention in Bristol, run by Frank West, who did his first game on Kickstarter, which is City of Kings, which is why he's called it City of Games. So that's happening next weekend. I'm getting the coach up on Friday. It's Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. I'll be there. I'll be demoing games. Pulsar, founders of Gloom Haven, and some extra bits. Mr. Cabbage Has Garden, Sherlock, the Adrenaline expansion I'm going to be demoing off as well, because that's pretty much finished. So yes, I'll be at that at the weekend. If you're going, please say hello. Rulebooks. Oh, I forgot to mention what rulebooks I was working on in January. Let's go back to that. Right, Nice Cup of Tea from Tony Boydell. Nice Cup of Tea is a game based on Snowdonia. So it uses most of the mechanics from Snowdonia, but with enough twists and changes that it is a separate game. It's not a Snowdonia expansion, but I think it started out as an expansion, but it's not. And Tony's asked me to work on the rulebook for it. That's going to take quite a lot of work. We're just starting off on it at the moment. Dice Hospital, been putting a lot of work into that and getting lots and lots of people to check it and proofread it. Thank you to all of those people who helped. But it did mean we had like 10 documents to go through with loads and loads of comments, but they've all made it better. I've started on the rulebook for Pocket Sub, which is a small lightweight game, but no matter how complex the game is, it needs a good rulebook. Started on that. That's gone out to reviewers now to see if they can make sense of it. Mr. Cabbage Head's Garden. Yep, that's the name of the game. I actually did this rulebook last year, but it's being published this year. So Ludicreations wanted me to pick up the rulebook, have another look at it, because there's been some changes and there's been some expansion stuff going on. So that's pretty much done. Blight Chronicles Agent Decker. I think I mentioned I was working on that last month. Maybe I didn't, but I've been working on that a lot in January. And Board and Dice have asked me to write this rulebook from scratch. So that's what I've done. The rulebook now, it's been written, rewritten, edited, re-edited, tested twice, then they changed the game. So the rulebook's looking in quite a good state at the moment, but I do need to go back and update it with all of the recent changes, because the game's still in development. Other things that are happening. So I've been working on a new rulebook for Mage Knight. I thought this was top secret, so I didn't say anything. But then in my live Q&A, somebody said, oh, did you know that Pegasus have announced that there's going to be a new big box version of Mage Knight and they're doing the German edition of it? And I'm like, no, but if that information is out there, then I guess it's not secret anymore. So there's going to be a big box edition of Mage Knight, which I think is going to include all of the expansions. I've been asked to help with the rulebook, to update the rulebook with lots of, you know, FAQ and some of the tweaks and changes that have been made to the game. Certainly incorporating all of the changes that the Lost Legion brought in to make sure that they are now core game rules. So anyway, that work that's going on in the background, I can't give any dates on that. It's just a commissioned piece of work. Legends Untold is still going on. There's still a lot of work to do on the rulebook for that. And True Crime Legends is done and dusted. I say it's done and dusted. My role in it is done, which is working on the Google Doc. The next step, once I've done the Google Doc, is that the layout is done. And then quite often the layout will be done in PDF and it'll come back to me and I'll be like, right, no, you need to move that there. You know, you shouldn't use this font. This is it. You know, I will have input on a rulebook usually after the layout has been done, but that's a separate job. True Crime Legends is an interesting one. I was contacted by this guy called James who designed the game, and then in discussion it turns out the only other game he's played is Monopoly. And I'm like, oh, right. You know, because I just assume that everybody who contacts me and asks me to do some work for a video or a book is a gamer, and an experienced gamer. And he said, no, he's not into modern gaming at all. He's heard of some of them, but he's only ever played Monopoly. And he's done this game called True Crime Legends where you're a crime boss and you're dealing in drugs and trying to raise money and put each other in jail and things like that. So anyway, I've done the rulebook for that game. I do all sorts of things. Right, anyway, moving on to February. Nice Cup of Tea rulebook will be continuing. In fact, most of the ones that I was working on in January, the ones that are not finished, I'll be working on them for the rest of February. Things that I'm planning to do in February video-wise, I have no rules videos planned for February. But I've got 3. Well, there's one I can be doing right now. Luda Creations want me to do a short video overview for Crisis. Because I think they're relaunching a Kickstarter campaign. The sun's just gone in again. They're relaunching the Kickstarter campaign for a new version of it. I can do that now. I have a copy of Crisis. I have the rulebook. I helped write the rulebook, so I know how to play. So I can do that now. It's just fitting it in. Founders of Gloom Haven, once the pre-production copy arrives, I'll be doing a rules video for that. I don't think that's going to arrive in February. It might be March, might be April, not sure. And also I'm doing the how to play video for Agent Decker, but that's so far off. We can't start that yet because the game's still in development. I'll be doing 2 reviews, as I mentioned, in February, and I'll be doing another Q&A as well. So that's the plans for February. So is that everything? That's the games I've been playing, what I've been working on, videos I've been working on. Thank you very much to all my Patreons and what I'm doing in February. So I will see some of you at the City of Games in February. March is HandyCon, so a bit of an advance notice. 9th to 11th of March, I will be at HandyCon. So because you can't book tickets for City of Games. So if you want to come along, sorry, it was Kickstarter only. Frank had a limited number of people who he could invite to it because of space reasons. But HandyCon is still open. So if you were considering going to HandyCon, and now you think, oh, Paul's going, I'll now go along just because Paul's going. Yeah, not likely, but you know what I mean. Tickets are still available for HandyCon. That's 9th to the 11th of March. So yeah, so I'll be at the City of Games this coming weekend. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you very much again to all of my Patreons who made this video possible effectively. And as I say, if you are considering supporting me, then would love your support. Thank you very much. Until next time, take care and thanks for watching.